China is in a make-or-break battle as its economy struggles to survive. The news emerging out of PRC is anything but positive. Figures are indicating that all is not well on the country's economic front. In fact, according to a Bloomberg report, the plight of Chinese youth is struggling with joblessness is so dire that data release has been stopped dead in its tracks. Join us as we lift the veil from issues crushing China's economic backbone, including youth joblessness, closure of factories, and a plunging real estate market, the ailing housing market, and other issues. The Chinese economy is riddled by a series of persistent issues. Exports have dropped and consumer demand has already slackened. The situation is all the more alarming when compared with China's prosperous pre-pandemic past. An average growth of 9% annually from the year 2000 to 2019 presents a stark contrast to the current forecasts. If economic experts manage to hit the nail right on the head for the imminent future, growth in the upcoming 3 years is expected to be below 5%. All eyes are on Xi Jinping. His people are pinning their hopes on him to be the financial messiah that will pull Chinese markets out of this sticky situation. The steps taken under the Chinese leader's government, which have not amounted to anything more than consistent incremental measures, have so far been a letdown. The Chinese are expecting a more radical approach from those in charge to clamp down on the slow economic growth and breathe life into it. With curbed spending, Chinese households are pouring their money into savings. China is perched at the edge of a dangerous slope. It is sinking under increasing debt. Not only that, its population is dwindling in age, adding to its list problems which need a timely solution. The Chinese property sector is a dead weight that is dipping China's economic prospects even lower. With plummeting property prices, it's an evolving nightmare for the public and developers alike. The latter are defaulting left, right, and center. People's confidence in China's future economic outlook is waning, while their fury and frustration with the current scenario and a system worth $60 trillion is reaching new heights. The Chinese have taken a series of steps to counter the alarming situation, but so far, none have quite produced the quick fix or solution to stop the housing market from its rapid decline. These steps include pragmatic measures, such as allowing more room for flexibility in the terms and conditions that apply to purchasing homes. Jinping's common prosperity drive that saw its first sunrise around 3 years ago has taken a nosedive and crashed face first into a financial dilemma. What started as a campaign to bring housing within affordable grasp now appears to sputter and backfire on the very economy it had hoped to sustain. Country Garden Holdings, one of the main cornerstones of Jinping's pioneering plan, has met a financial catastrophe. It is poised to default sooner rather than later. According to a Bloomberg report, author of Red Flags: Why Xi's China is in Jeopardy, George Magnus sheds light on the pitfalls of China's housing market. As per the author, the implications of a soaring and plunging property sector has a massive impact or touches extremes in China's case because of two reasons. The housing sector's chunk not only makes up a gigantic slice of its economy, but it also has a huge impact on household savings and confidence. Consider this information. At its very pinnacle of success, China's housing sector was responsible for a staggering 80% of household assets. It also made up a quarter of a chunk of China's domestic output. Experts place its worth around $52 trillion during the golden period of 2019. Jinping's grand design did not live up to its promise. The noose of unaffordability tightened around China's younger population. Add Evergrande's liquidity crisis alarm in 2020 and the clamping down of COVID lockdown measures in the years of the pandemic, the script was swiftly flipped on the Chinese leader's lofty aims. Stringent regulations struck the last nail in the coffin for the debt-ridden housing sector, with Evergrande and Sunac China Holdings Ltd. Diving into default. The fallout was by no means small or negligible. Real estate bonds, a lucrative arena for those looking to strike it rich, were quick to drop off the economic radar as a viable market. The current situation is critical. When it comes to dollar bonds, Chinese developers are neck-deep in troubled waters. At present, a staggering number of $498 bonds are in the default zone. According to figures provided by Bloomberg, debts are mounting and investors are left with a mess of $60 billion in terms of debts that need to be squared off. All eyes are on the housing sector. Will the regulations be less rigid when it comes to mortgages? Will there be some relief when it comes to paring back down payments? The world is watching with bated breath as China attempts to free itself from this latest financial fiasco. Jobless youth. China is becoming increasingly tight-lipped when it comes to the meltdown that the youth job market is undergoing. Figures paint a less than savory picture. China's population between the ages of 16 and 24 is experiencing a rate of joblessness previously unprecedented. Urban joblessness for those under this age bracket hit a record in June. It stood at 21.3%. So determined is the PRC to keep all info tightly under wraps that it has put a halt to all data being released. The news about the halt has since spread like wildfire, doing the rounds on the Chinese social media platform Weibo. While China's real reasons for stopping data from emerging remain under a tight lid, National Bureau of Statistics spokesperson Fu Linghui cited the reason as a reevaluation of the statistical methods employed to gauge joblessness among youth. As per the government, the clampdown on data is a temporary measure. The month of July showcased grim figures for China's overall unemployment rate, which stood at an unpromising 5.3%. Post-pandemic China has dropped the ball when it comes to economic recovery. Things are moving at such a sluggish pace. Youth unemployment has continued to climb steadily with each passing month in the year 2023. Backing the dismal youth unemployment data in June were other distressing facets that cast a spotlight on China's severe plight. According to a Nikkei Asia report, findings by a scholar support the appalling fact that the percentage of Chinese youth falling between the ages of 16 and 24 that were not enrolled in school and were neither unemployed stood at 46.5%. Those in economic circles are already touting the fact that in the light of China's recent actions with regard to disclosure of data, it seems entirely possible that the data issued earlier had underestimated the troubling reality of youth unemployment. Although China took a much welcomed initiative to publish its youth employment rate in the year 2018, things have now taken a less than stellar turn. According to Associate Professor Alfred Wu at Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, while China tried to conform to international standards within the publication of this data, now it does not want the people to observe, as affairs have decidedly taken a pessimistic turn. The professor even hinted at the possibility of China attempting to whitewash the dire situation of jobless youth. He termed the issuance of data a mere propaganda exercise. Truth be told, China does not possess the most upstanding reputation when it comes to transparency. Manipulating data is not a new phenomenon for the country, which has a checkered history of misrepresenting facts and figures during the COVID-19 pandemic. While this argument does hold weight, there are other considerations as well. It could very well be a measure to sustain confidence and stop the spread of fear and hysteria. How did things decline so rapidly for China? The fall of the real estate sector and the steep drop in consumer demand has raised major red flags for the corporate sector. It has severely limited its potential to employ and recruit more personnel. What has exacerbated the situation even more are the Chinese government's invasive raids and crackdowns targeting the tech and private firms. The result has been fatal for the job market, with various jobs being eliminated in the process. What now exists is a massive gaping hole that no one can fill, with a stark disbalance between the growth of jobs and those who are in possession of degrees. Dwindling factory activity. MBS official Zhao Qingqi holds inadequate market demand as the main culprit when it comes to China's declining manufacturing industry. Factory activity has been dwindling and deteriorating as the figures emerging from August point out. August was the fifth consecutive month that factory activity contracted. The Asian tiger appears to be on its economic knees, with non-manufacturing activity also tumbling to a low point in August. The world's second largest economy is struggling to get back on its feet. Business confidence in China is at rock bottom. While Xi Jinping is trying to amp up confidence and attract foreign investment in China, foreign countries are looking to take their investments out of the country. Xi Jinping's measures, especially those related to regulation, are in direct contrast to this. Foreign firms in China have experienced a variety of challenges. The slackened pace of growth is a major factor, but there are other elements as well. Soaring costs are one of them. To top it off, regulation is subpar, exposing companies to a variety of threats, including security. There have been a number of unsavory incidents, such as police raids on firms such as Bain & Company, as well as Capvision. Mintz Group, a due diligence firm, was also subject to raids. However, no reason was offered. The European Chamber of Commerce in China had key concerns in this regard, which were related to security, or a lack of, to be more exact. What is making companies wary of China is the level of protection the country offers to their local counterparts and rivals. The Chinese government is also reluctant to deliver and act on reform promises. Conducting business in China has become an uphill task. President Xi Jinping's leadership is looking to tighten the regulatory noose around their necks. Xi Jinping's party is also looking for greater involvement in the internal processes of these companies, such as hiring and maintaining board seats. The path ahead for Beijing does not appear smooth. However, in spite of all its pitfalls and slow rate of growth, it still remains a major player in the global arena. So, what is your take on China's ongoing economic crisis? Please do mention your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned for our next video.